Thank you.
We use that phrase when we projects all together. Okay, yes.
Can I begin now? Maybe I can take it out. You are okay. Well, thank you, Antonio, to this nice introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank you for great effort you did to collect all of us and to continue the project that was ambitiously posed by the University of Amsterdam. And that was really, this is the last day practically, and this is it was nice possibility to live the European variety, because as you can see, and you will see the map of all countries participate in the... Ciao, tanti saluti a Carla, un abbraccio enorme, ciao, ciao, buon viaggio. Buon rientro con gli aviatori, insomma, che, ecco, spero che parlino la stessa lingua, no? Ecco, quella. Well, that's kind of result that we have 2 years ago, on a year and a half ago, when we began, when we entered in the project, we were a group of enthusiasts. Daniela was, as she is still, and she will finish in 6 months or 8 months maybe, her doctoral thesis. She was at the beginning of her doctoral way. Jelena, who is sitting here with us, is a colleague whom I'm working a lot of years, and she was included also in this initiative as external evaluator. And now I recognize the faces, the new faces, and the friends practically that I gained during this PETAL experience. The PETAL experience offered us also the possibility to speak in different languages, to be aware of different cultures, to know different schooling systems. So it was and it is some perfect possibility to us to develop. Antonio Cordero took something about 10 minutes of our presentation, because he was talking about the same topic, but I will, as Antonio presented me as an experienced professor, I will repeat the same thing in different ways. So, as professors can do, I hope. Well, we are all here to talk about intercultural dimension of tasks, of TBLT tasks used for PETAL purposes, and then I have to contextualize all situation. Well, you know the name. Everyone here knows what PETAL means: Pan-European Task Activities for Language Learning, and it is a part of long life learning project of European Commission, and it promotes TBLT through ICT in foreign language, and it emphasizes improving both language and ICT competencies. Just a minute, I have to make friendly this for here. Well, here is consortium that Antonio already mentioned, and here is the map of Europe with the different countries. If you have these columns of countries, it seems different. I think you will complete your impression now seeing the European map with these huge differences between Portugal and Turkey, Greece and Netherlands and United Kingdom. Well, these are points, extreme points of Europe with great cultural, linguistic, historical and other differences, but joined together in this kind of project. So we really arrived to some conclusions that we live the same life in the same historical moment with very similar systems, and that we have had and we have and we will have the great opportunity to work together, but because practically we did it and we did it successfully. So all these activities that we proved and used during our PETAL project experience, we tried to introduce in our paper that we will present now. So our neighbors, our tandem was presented by Antonio, that's Danijela's school, and my university, that it is my faculty of philology, the biggest one in Serbia and in Balkans, because we have some kind of 10,000 students, 400 teachers, 35 languages, and so on. It's huge institution with great and huge and enormous responsibility for language teaching in Serbia, and also for producing and cultivated language teaching. 6 languages that have a part of educational system of Serbia, and other languages as modern Greek and so on, Hindu, Catalan, and so on, all Japanese, Chinese, and so on. The PARTE was Aviation Academy because of Danijela. That was the first, because she was my doctoral student, so I can use and abuse with the activities, extra activities, from which we practically, the result of PETAL's initiatives also is the topic of Danijela's thesis. Can you repeat it, because I cannot be the title?
Evaluation and assessment of tasks in clear approach, something like that.
Like that?
Yes, evaluating the tasks that are done, but in terms of outcome. So not the task design, but what students perform at the end of the task cycle. How should teachers assess that? And all these tasks are implemented in clear approach, especially in aviation English context.
So we already have one of results of PETAL to be, how to say, seen and approached also by scientific basis and scientific results that Danijela will have with her work, and also another inter-university European collaboration, because Antonio Lopez will be a member, is the member of the commission who will be present at the discussion of Danijela's thesis. So the PETAL lives, long live PETAL, in other and different activities. Our neighborhood countries were our really neighbor Hungary, and Turkey, which is not our neighbor country, but it is nearby. So we had that very dynamic collaboration with the colleagues from Turkey and Hungary, and awareness of their educational systems, and some good experiences, and the beautiful human contact that we had with our colleagues. And we are thankful to European Union and European money also for that, for new human experiences. Here are PETAL objectives that you maybe know, but I will repeat for whom, for those who are not part of PETAL project. Well, collaborative work, the access to technology-mediated tasks, mutual understanding and awareness of linguistic and cultural diversity, all things that I was talking about in my short introduction, and the quality of teacher education in technology-mediated TBLT, and also teachers' digital competencies. As you know, that teachers has to be pushed in a way and helped in a way to use ICT in their work. And now Danijela will talk about the models that we use for our tasks.
Okay, thank you. I suppose most of you are familiar with this approach, teaching approach. I wouldn't say anymore that it is new, since maybe we are get accustomed to this task-based language teaching approach. So, but it's for sure part of communicative methodology. It is in compliance with European language education policy that promotes language diversity, plurilingualism, etc., etc. And what is important that language, foreign language, is in this approach used in the context as a tool for communicating. So that's the sole purpose. And I'll put the emphasis on the main definition or explanation of this approach. The focus is on the meaning, not on a form. But later on, you'll see that a form should not be neglected. Speak in terms of advantages regarding this methodology. The greatest benefit is on the students. So students learn language better when they are not aware of language while doing some task that is intended for them to perform. Their attention is on meaning, not on a form. What does it mean? They work some task in simulated real-life situations, and they are concentrated on performing the task, on reaching the outcome, the final product, whatever it is, and they just think of it, not on a language, not of a grammar, not of a structure. So they feel relaxed, they feel comfortable, and while as task goes on, they feel more confident in their language performance, language knowledge, and as well as ICT competencies that are the main part of this project and of this methodology. And finally, where I see a connection between TBLT and ICT, that is since they are in synergy with the development of technology and ICT competencies, and that's the reason, since they have emerged at the same time, something about 1980s, I think. So this is the connection between ICT and TBLT. I'll just go through short notes about tasks. Tasks are learner-centered. It means that the learner is in the center of a lesson, of a task. So a teacher is just somewhere outside, not outside of the classroom, but apart from the students, and the role of the teacher is just to monitor, to guide the students through the task, etc. But task is generally intended to students, and they are put in the center of activity. Students are usually exposed to do some problem-solving activities. Doing tasks help learners meet practical challenges. It facilitates interaction, and it makes learners responsible for the outcomes of the communication process. And that's what we may get back to the beginning of my speech. That's why they are concentrated and focused on a meaning, not on a form. Okay. If we think, if we'd like to discuss teachers' environment in task-based approach, methodology, we must think of the amount of work that is involved in preparing the task, that all members of this project are very were very aware of it. Teachers may find difficulty of making learners communicate only in the foreign language. It's the case in every foreign language classroom, I believe so. Teachers have great challenge of monitoring several groups at the same time in the course of the activity, and teachers are supposed to find the most suitable strategies to enhance the quality of the students' learning experience. And finally, we may ask ourselves, are all those things discouraging for language teachers, or maybe we as a teacher may find some motivation and benefits doing this approach? I believe so, and I'm sure, and I hope you will be sure after this presentation. Okay. Let's just go back to the theoretical definition explanation. The most well-known is Alice's definition and explanation of the task. What is task? Task is a work plan with a focus on meaning, involving real-world language use and all 4 language skills through cognitive process with clearly defined communicative outcome. And all PETAL tasks that were done during this period, during this project, are aligned with these criteria. And you have handouts with task framework layout of TBLT. You've got 2 different, Willis and Alice framework. Let's start with the Willis. I'll just go through all these stages, not too much in details, but emphasize the most important parts. You may see Willis. Both of them have 3 stages named differently, but somehow they comprise the same things. In Willis pre-task stage, teachers introduces the topic and task. Useful words and phrases may be highlighted, and teacher motivates students to perform the task, introducing the topic and highlighting useful words and phrases, which might be needed in the task later on. The second stage, a Willis task framework, is a task cycle. It gives learners the opportunity to perform real-world tasks with teachers monitoring. That's what I mentioned already. And it is advisable to have students work in pairs or in small groups. Also, while planning, the teacher should provide all the necessary input by acting as a facilitator to learners who plan solving the task, work on it, plan how to present the outcome of their work. That is the most difficult and most enjoyable part of the work, exchanging and comparing the final products. And finally, students report the conclusion they have reached in the final stage, language focus. This stage emphasizes language characteristics used during the 2 previous stages. It provides opportunities for students to analyze and practice specific linguistic features arising from the tasks. So all in all, task-based learning moves from fluency to accuracy and then again to fluency, so all around. And it demonstrates that although form is important, the language must not be neglected, and it is not the central part of the task mode. On the other side, you've got Alice framework, consisting of pre-task, during task, and post-task stages. In the first stage, teachers are supposed to show learners the various activities that can be used before the task starts. In next stage, task phase, the focus is on communication activities, that is performance, and it is very important how teachers deal with error correction and how students respond to the task. Teachers should not ignore all errors and never assess language, but we should bear in mind that continual corrective feedback undermines content confidence. But the language clinic, I believe that some of you have heard, it's the term proposed by CLIL expert, let me help you. No, I'll remember, never mind. It's language clinic is a term that might be very useful in assessing language in CLIL context. It's an assessment practice proposed to be used, COIL, yes, thank you, COIL. To be used in a CLIL approach. Well, what it is about, from time to time, teachers should collect all language errors that happen during the task, and then holds at some point, at some time, a language clinic when students and teachers are supposed to discuss and to correct all language errors that were presented, that were raised during the task. Finally, we've got some factors that are important while doing tasks in TBLT. Alice presents the condition, the time pressure as an important as important factor. Sorry, why? Because students. Sometimes it is, not sometimes, but it is advisable to set time limits for doing the task, as we have done designing our task framework for the project. But sometimes if we are we have not enough time to do it in a classroom, students may be assigned to do the task, part of a task as a homework. And it has proved that when students have sufficient time to prepare and to repeat the task or to perform similar task, it has proved as increasing effectiveness in their afterwards performance in front of teacher, in front of the classroom, etc., etc. What else is very important? Familiarity with topic. Later on you'll see our tasks, history of aviation. Of course, that was my favorite one, and it is the favorite topic of my students, but we performed the task in the Turkish educational context, and we were surprised by the results. We'll see it later. And finally, the post-task, the last task of Alice framework. Students are supposed to report what they have produced during all these tasks stages. And according to Alice, the last phase of TBLT provides opportunity for a repeat performance, encourage actions on how the task was performed, and draw attention to problematic forms. Okay, I'll give a word to my dear teacher, Julijana, and I'll go back.
We want to show you the outcomes, so I will I want to focus your attention on intercultural dimensions of PETAL, and we will explain that in our work. I will talk about this now because I want to take some time more for and we have these some short history of communicative intercultural competence, and at the end we have to say that our idea is the well-known modern idea about the intercultural competence, which is based on knowledges, skills, behavior, and critical cultural consciousness, with the goal to make an interculturally competent speaker and a globally engaged citizen of the world, of Europe in our case. So it is the third historical stage of development of cultural and intercultural communicative competence practically. So we will talk now about tasks and intercultural competences in tasks. So.
Okay. We were supposed to design 4 ICT-based language tasks. Those were cooking, history, aviation, crime story, and traveling. Crime story and traveling were attended, trialed, and evaluated in Hungary. Am I right? Yeah. And cooking and history aviation were trialed and evaluated in a Turkey educational context. You've got handout of a history aviation in the PETAL template framework. You may see that this task was intended to be done at B1, B2 level. Linguistic skills that we emphasized are reading, writing, speaking, and listening. The ICT components were that were supposed to be developed are searching the internet for specific information, making video clip, comics, blog, interactive video files, etc., etc. And the final product of the task should be a multimedia presentation of interesting facts and events from the history of aviation. So the sole process of the task is in accordance with Alice framework that I've just explained. So the lesson begins with introducing the topic. what is the significance of aviation, the history of aviation, and students got printed out versions. Then they watched the video. I'll show you later on, not to cut the presentation. They watched the video. They were supposed, while watching the video about the whole history of the aviation in the world, they were supposed to fill in the timeline. So they've got handouts. They did that task in groups. Each group has different timeline, missing some events, and while watching, they were supposed to fill in either years or names of the historical important person, etc., etc. And finally, the final product that they were supposed to do was to present the interesting event. What is interesting? Nobody, neither from the Turkey nor Serbian, because I did the same task in my school and in Turkey school. Nobody did choose the event from their own history. The history of their own country. So that is the moment of intercultural competence. And what happened in my classroom, in my school, because I did it with different classrooms, it didn't happen that, nobody chose the same event. So that was the coincidence, but somebody chose the event from America, from France, from, I don't know, different parts of the world, and describe it. I'll show you now. I've got 3 different products. The simplest one was the PowerPoint presentation. They just presented one history events, and what was interesting, their effort that they put in doing that task. What did they do? They wrote a mail to NASA, because their topic was Apollo 11, and they wrote to NASA to get some new information, and they proved it with the replied answer. They presented in the PowerPoint presentation. Next next outcome was not in compliance with our project because there were no ICT dimension, but it was interesting in language terms. They make a live show they were acting, some of them were historical important persons from the aviation, and they just performing the live show, talking about what happened to them, imagining that they are in the real life. And finally, the best one was the outcome that involves linguistic and ICT dimension. I'll show you now how it... I'm sorry, the worst part of this video clip is that they didn't know how to balance the volume. Sorry. Okay, this is the beginning of Serbian news. You may see the Serbian channel, the specific music that we are all accustomed to this type of beginning. Yes, they made it. I didn't know. They just come back to the... So, you've got Serbian introduction to American news. So, combination of two cultural...
Hello America! Welcome to American News. Today, on 17 December 1903, we have surprising news for you. Wright brothers made milestone in the history of aviation. They performed the first successful flight on the airplane flyer. Flight lasted 12 seconds at a land of 37 meters.
You can see the way how they search for the information, because altogether they've got the subject in my school, history of aviation, and they did on the topic Wright brothers, but not too much in details and not in English, and that's the more cognitive process. They were supposed to search on the internet for all information. They've learned a lot while doing.
Where pilots Orville and Wilbur will tell us more about the first flight. Isidora, do you hear me?
I have the honor to stand next to the man who changed the history. Orville, can you tell me your feelings before and after flight?
Yes, of course. Before flight I had stayed afraid, but because of security I had to stay calm.
I must say that the guy that you see him is very excellent, so he was self-confident to stand in front of the camera and to perform the story that he prepared. It was very funny, his outfit, using swimming glasses instead of flying.
I am so sorry because I am not with you to share my experience and happiness with American citizens.
You can guess, this guy is at the low level of language knowledge. So he just put his photo and read from the papers behind the camera, but wanted to participate and be involved.
I have to go because of work that's waiting for me.
Thank you, Wilbur, on your involvement. We are so sorry too, but Orville will tell something more about that. Orville, did you have some difficulties during flight?
Yes, of course.
Did you understand? So they are Wright brothers being interviewed by American girl.
But thank God, everything was well.
It's not important what they talk about, but they learned a lot of new things and facts about from the history of their first flight.
We had a lot of failure flights, but now when we succeed, I can say that this is a love of aviation.
Thank you, Orville, so much. I hope we'll see again to your next venture, Camera Studio.
With success, their life began to change the world. The brothers
You may
will
see
become the
Serbian
first news
magazines and
celebrities of the 20th
newspapers,
century.
aviation,
You will see how
aviation
people
English
across
book,
America
textbook
celebrate this
from
venture.
my school that they use. This is how Americans celebrate. Okay. Yes, it is my daughter. I'm her teacher, English teacher, and I didn't have any idea. They prepared it outside of. Once they called me to ask me how can we say is it okay, etc. But I have no idea that they prepare this. So it's not my favorite since of my daughter, but okay. I'll just mention my experience in Turkey. We did the same task at the lower level, and we were doubtful about the outcomes. What we were surprised about, the students were very impressed, very involved, very enthusiastic, and they all knew all the answers on historical events. I don't know how. Most of them were boys. Most of them were intending to enroll the military academy in Turkey, in Ankara, and some of them told me, we played games, so that's why, I don't know, they had great knowledge, they were very interested in this topic, and they enjoyed really. So all our doubts went, so we were satisfied. So there is no difference between my students and students in a Turkey context, although they are not the same age, not the same level, not the same previous knowledge, but they enjoyed mostly. And the most difficult part, that's why I ask you, was just ICT dimension, because although they are younger than me, and it's very, very hard for me to use ICT tools, but they, the same answer was what was the most enjoyable and the most difficult ICT, doing with ICT. So that's what I realized. Okay, that's what I mentioned. Now I've got the another task named cooking. Okay, yes, and that's final. My questions, yes, we may think of the task that I've already described, but cooking is something that was as well implemented in Turkey. Those are 3 questions that I would like to discuss with you and to give me some, if you have faced some problems in intercultural terms, in intercultural communication, maybe in the topic of in terms of cooking, or in some other situation, some other topic module that you've done with your students. So what do you see as a problem in, that's my question to you, what do you see as a problem in terms of intercultural communication doing on tasks? Is there any? No, if you have any other topic or situation that you'd like to explain, yes, it's okay, it's better. I mean, what kind of problems may arise in terms of intercultural communication performing the task? In bilingual context or... is it possible to happen in the class where the students are at the same nationality? What do you think? Yes. Okay, and how do you see the solution of bridging the gap in terms of intercultural difference, and how to propose intercultural communication to flow without problems? So, okay, what are the factors that we as a teacher need to pay attention to? Julijana, would you like to add your experience in this topic, in this kind of issue?
Kind of recipe in it, but we had these experiences in Turkey and also in Hungary, but also we have these experiences in our context, teaching English or Italian in my case. So these are these religion differences, but also the differences between cultural differences between different customs or other kinds of historical or moral or ethnical or different contexts. So you have to be aware about these. Well, that is the way that you have to know the context and to know your students and offer the things that they can accept in a way and have the answers in proper answers and prepared answers in another way. This experience that was brought to us by PETAL, we had experience about cooking, that was nutrition. So we had good ideas brought from Turkish students about preparing bread and different technological approaches how to produce it and so on. Different ideas what the bread could be eaten with and so on. So the things that we didn't imagine before we offered the task. So ona je zaključak moj internet. Yes, it was. And also we had some, how to say, personal experiences during the visits of colleagues, for example, in Belgrade, that should be used in our future work. For example, we had some cultural event. We went to visit some gallery of historical rests of Serbian monasteries. It wasn't, there was no our idea to offer some religious context, but it was read and lived by some participants as religious context because they came from other countries, other religions, and so that impact with the different culture and religion provoke different reactions. So even when you don't expect, don't want, and don't offer this kind of, you are not aware about this kind of experience, you will got like answer, like feedback, something that you didn't expect to gain. So you really have to be flexible, tolerant, open maximally, and accept practically and think about that. So the task-based language teaching and these tasks that we produced are practically some framework for different possibilities that we can use in our teaching. So I think that making translations of these tasks and preparing them to be used in different cultures, all these countries that you have seen at the beginning of our presentation, should be another good possibility to make these intercultural, to focus on intercultural awareness and to produce something that is practically the goal and the focus of living together in different space and different context.
I'm sorry because I also feel as a part of the
Of course.
I just want to say that everybody comes from the third phase, and the third phase is religion construction and cultural communication. And it has to be based on negotiation of meaning. So you have to teach your students how to be able to negotiate. Going back to my Norway example, if you live in an environment where you're not comfortable or you're not comfortable with another person sitting next to you, I mean, you have to teach somebody to negotiate that, to send a message in a way that will not offend the other person. So this is something that we need to teach our students to do in intercultural context and in intercultural plurilingual communication. So there has to be part of teacher training and part of the
Of course.
regular curriculum.
Of course. Thank you. Well, I will conclude with Jelena's word. If any one of you has some other idea or some question to ask.
Something that struck me from being part of this conference is that you have a very nice opportunity of sharing the basic structure that aims to develop these attitudes and skills, regardless of what the particular context is. So it's nice to see what variety in some aspects where the core is the goal of developing those attitudes. And intercultural competence is such a high goal, and probably is not attainable through institutional teaching. But if we focus on products and practices to a variety of them, and just being humble to say, if I get the students to be aware of how our attitudes
Of course, awareness is the world.
for me.
That's the word.
That variety is
Mm-hmm.
that's the first step, and then from then students will take it as
Mm-hmm. Of course, that is that's the word awareness. Awareness about intercultural competence, and this is practically also. You notice that PETAL's products and the PETAL context and the goals of our project practically are these: to have some framework in which you can apply different approaches, different cultural, historical, contextual, religious, and other competencies and knowledges and function. And that is the way that the world goes on and that Europe goes on. And that is some kind of possibility that we have in small, in some small measure. 10 different countries, 20 institutions that had to march together, thanks to Antonio's willingness. Okay, that's...
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for your